Welcome back to the Hip Hop Social Worker YouTube channel. Almost said podcast. And but we are going to talk about podcasts this week. I want to talk about, well, not this week, this episode. We're talking about, how podcasts kind of helped mold my career. How it helped me develop some things about myself. How it kind of just gave me the idea of what it takes to be a creative. So that's what we're going to get into. So I started podcasting back in 2018 with my childhood friend, and the friend I met in college. I was a co-host with my friend HJ, and my guy Rob did, he did the music and he did the editing and things like that. Podcast called KINGZ. You could probably find, you could definitely find it on Anchor if you want to listen to episodes. The podcast was really about just random things we would come up with during the week. Talking a lot of Portland references, a lot of like sports talk, hip hop talk, things like that. But as we were doing that podcast, towards the middle of our run, we did it for about a year. Towards the middle of our run, I decided that I would like to do something more focused towards my career, something that would help me, develop my career. So I remember when I was in grad school, I developed this name called Hip Hop Social Worker, and I never did nothing with it because I never knew what to do with it. So I was like, well, I'm podcasting now, so I decided to, use that, as the name for the podcast, and started it, did an episode, got some good feedback, and then just kind of went on from there to talk about different things that, that pertains to social work and social justice, interview different social workers, just to kind of see, the journey, because social workers all have different journeys, different reasons why we come to this field of work, to do, to do the service. There's also, career paths. I talk to a lot of mental health providers, but there's also like macro social workers that, are head of agencies, social workers that do a lot of community organizing, things like that. So that was kind of that. But I've learned some things while I was doing podcasting, because for a long time I really didn't want to like be seen. I kind of wanted to do everything kind of like on the low key. Just kind of like, just do my job, go home. But there's a lot of things, that you can be missed doing, just kind of doing the minimum, right? You can be a brilliant mind, but if you're not putting, the effort into being seen, then nobody will see you. So I figured that, a podcast was a good way to kind of do it on my own time, instead of like trying to, pitch ideas and trying to, get seen. I could just kind of do my own work, and then people can see what I have to bring. And then if they like it, they can reach out. If they don't, they can press fast forward. So a few things that I learned doing podcasting. The first thing is learning how to sit in my own discomfort. So like I said before, I always wanted to kind of do creative things, but I never wanted to be like judged for it. So after I did the first couple episodes of KINGZ, and people it was out in the atmosphere, and people could hear it, and people can judge it, and people could give feedback, people could say it was whack, say it was whatever. It became easier to do those things, right? So that's one thing that I learned. This is kind of like just be all right with kind of people hearing your mistakes, people hearing your if you got bad audio, people like probably making jokes about how terrible your content is or whatever. Just really being okay with with just having whatever it is. It is what it is. Because that's a good way to grow. That they always say that you will never grow in your comfort zone. So to grow, you got to step out of your comfort zone. So in the podcast was something that helped me do that, because I would have never done that, without starting a podcast. Because, like I said, for years, I've always wanted to do, creative things, but I never really had the, the balls to go out there and put it out there. So, just, recording weekly, putting it out, and just kind of letting people, hear, see what they want to see, or letting people kind of be the judge if they like it or not. It became easier. So that's one thing I learned from doing a podcast, was learning how to sit in my own discomfort. The next thing was learning how to take constructive criticism. So, when you are working with a co-host, a partner, you really gotta, you really gotta like be able to say, hey man, that wasn't a really good idea, or maybe not that much this time, or things like that, because you're working together, to build a project, and I really didn't understand the importance of constructive criticism without being a creative. So and when I'm out here doing groups, or when I'm having a therapy sessions, and somebody might give me some feedback, I learned how to take that feedback not personal by learning how to do constructive criticism, which I learned from doing podcasting. So that was one thing that I'm really grateful for, really learning how somebody say, hey man, that wasn't that good, but here's how we can do it, or here's how you do it to make it better. I know one time, my buddy Nick, who was actually on the podcast, he texted me and was like, hey, I'm not listening to no more episodes until you get your audio quality consistent. So that I took it upon myself, to really research things and kind of figure out, okay, how can I get this, audio consistent, because for a while it wasn't really consistent. It was some would sound good, some would sound bad, some would sound terrible, some would sound okay. So it was, I appreciate him for really holding me accountable, saying, hey, I'm not listening to no more episodes until you fix that audio issue. So learning how to take constructive criticism and things like that, that was a very good lesson, and just in life in general. Like, you never want to be too sensitive. Like it's okay to be sensitive about your work, because yeah, it is your work and it is something that you put a lot of time and effort to, but you gotta have the ability to know that everybody who says something that needs to be like improved in your work isn't hating, or they're not salty, or they're not trying to spread lies. It's like, sometimes your stuff might be bad. I know I put it like this, right? So like, if like a pop star could go into a studio and make some trash in their $1 million studio, my home equipment, I'm pretty capable of making some trash stuff. So be open to constructive criticism, and just don't take it personal. Use it to get better. Another thing that I learned from podcasting is really having the guts to try new things, right? So like, I never even knew about podcasts until I did my first one. Like, the first podcast episode I ever listened to was my own. So it was real new to really get on the mic and just kind of say my opinions, and let people hear my opinions on things. And but that's just kind of how things go. Like, in this world, you're not going to get anything being quiet. I know, like, I tell a lot of people, how I started this career, this journey. Like, I kind of wanted to be somebody who was looked up to in the social work world. I wanted, like I wanted to have a name for myself, and me being quiet sitting in the back of the classroom wasn't gonna give me that. So I had to really step it up, try something new, put myself out there in front of the world to be judged, to be loved, to be whatever. And I'm grateful for it. Another thing that I learned from podcasting was nothing that was built overnight. So like, when you're not in a creative space, or like know about the creative process, I feel like you really don't understand what it takes to build something, right? Like, it's easy to kind of sit back and judge people's artwork and things like that if you've never done it before. But like, once you get into a space of creating or trying to build something, you understand how much hard work goes into it, right? So like, it's easy to kind of like see like the finished product, like Michael Jordan. You see Michael Jordan at the game, and he's dropping 50, he's dropping 40, he's dropping 60, right? But you don't really understand what it takes to get to that 60, because you don't see the work that he's putting in. All you see is the finished product. And I feel like I was missing that part of being a creative. I was missing the part of, really seeing what it takes, to put work into something, to watch it build. Nothing's built overnight, or, and so it was, I'm really grateful for that, because, that's kind of set the foundation for other things in my career. Like, I know now that nothing comes easy, nothing comes without work. Like, I knew that before, but when you're trying to be a creative, it's a really different grind. It's a different, it's just a different hustle, and you really get to see like people, like, so like, you see somebody's craft at the end when it's polished, you will appreciate it more, because now the work that they did to get that good, right? So now I know that nothing's built overnight, and you really have to put the work in to do certain things. Like I know we all want the quick fix, the quick the quick come up, but that's not how things work. Like you gotta really put the work in. That's just period point blank. You gotta struggle for a little bit. That you might struggle for years. You might struggle for months if you're lucky. But it all takes work. And when you put the work in, you go from 5 views to 20 views to 100 views to so on and so on. So, nothing's built overnight. So just remember that. And the most important thing that I learned from podcasting is you gotta just do it. A lot of people put time into prep, but then they put too much time into prep to try to get the right setup, the right voice, the right content, the right whatever. Fuck all that. Sometimes you gotta just scale it back and just do it. Do your first episode. If you want to do a podcast, do the first episode. If you want to do video, do the first video. Do the first stream. Do the first blog. Just do it, right? Do your first post. Because you'll sit at home and you'll just go back and forth about things, and you'll just talk yourself out of it every time, right? Trying to get that perfect setup. Sometimes you gotta just pull the trigger and do it. And that's one thing that I learned. I was always scared to pull the trigger and do things, right? I never want to do things. I always kind of want to, my excuse was like, well, if it's not right, then I don't want to do it. No, sometimes you got to do it. And sometimes you got to, like, you got to have some L's, to get some wins. So that's my advice to anybody out there who wants to be creative, wants to start something. Sometimes you got to just do it. You got to just suck it up and do the shit. Because you will sit on your thumbs forever, and that's real. So yeah, podcasting has really helped me out. Really helped me find myself, be comfortable with kind of getting my artwork or my art judged. I never really wanted that to happen. I kind of wanted to skate through life, but I feel like if you want to be something of prominence, something of recognition, you got to kind of put yourself out there. And podcasting has taught me it's okay to put yourself out there. Sometimes it's okay to fall flat on your face. Sometimes it's okay to, not have ideas work. Sometimes ideas just don't work. But you got to try it, So it really kind of helped me see things through a creative lens, like how to build videos, how to build audio, I don't even I don't even look at TV shows the same anymore. Like now I see all the layers and things that come with building title pages and highlights on sports pages and things like that. So I just see things different now, and that's all because of podcasting. So I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Listen to me talk again. If you have any ideas, just go ahead and start those ideas. Don't wait. Don't wait for the right time. Start it and hone it as you go. That's my best advice, because you will sit on ideas forever trying to get that perfect signal. Like, it's time to go. Like, there's no signal to tell you when to go. It's only for you to know when it's time to go, and for you to get better. If you're serious about something, you'll start it, and as it goes on, you'll get better. So I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Best of luck on everything, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.